So I've got something entirely different in mind for today. A few days ago, I made a fishing trip in inshore waters looking for speckled trout. Last year at this time, the specks had already moved inshore, even though it's way too early for that to be the case. But I was hoping it'd happen again this year, and they're definitely kind of in transition, but I was unable to find any way far inshore. What I did find, however, were copious amounts of gafftop catfish, and I'm talking some world-class gafftops. They were massive. Of course, I released them all, but it got me to thinking, gafftops have a reputation for being excellent table fare, but I'm not positive I've ever even tasted one. So I'm gonna head out to the same area today and see if I can run across any gafftops. If I do, I'm gonna throw them in the ice chest, fillet them, and get home and cook them and see how they taste. Now, of course, I'm also going to target some traditional game fish because I don't want to just catch gafftops all day. So that's in the plan as well. Maybe I'll be lucky enough to find some trout. Probably, though, it'll be redfish and bass. That's the plan. Let's see what happens. All right, so I'm starting with double-rigged H&H glass minnows below a Versamax Pro Series popping cork. Now, when I was in here the other day, there was just a ton of bait. I mean, just an insane amount of bait. And while I've been kind of drifting through here getting rigged up, I haven't seen near that amount of bait, but it's still a little bit early. So maybe it hasn't been pushed to the surface yet, or maybe it's in an entirely different area. We'll see. But hopefully my cork will plunge and I'll catch a gafftop catfish. It just seems wrong to even say. Now, I like this little glass minnow rig early in the season like we are, because the shrimp, by and large, aren't giant yet. Although I have seen some big shrimp already this year, but typically they're a lot smaller. Later in the fall, they'll be a lot bigger. And then once the shrimp all kind of dump out, you go back to this rig, because the shrimp that overwinter in the marshes are really small. It's kind of cumbersome to throw this with a cork, but it's just really, really effective. And the good thing with it is you got a bait covering two different depths. Come on, gafftop. I'm hearing pogies flipping all around me. So there is some bait in the area. But when I was here the other day, it was shrimp, pogies, and mullet. Beaucoup, as we say in South Louisiana. The water is a good bit dirtier than when I was here a few days ago. We had a bunch of rain in this area yesterday, lots and lots of thunderstorms around, so it definitely took its toll on the water. Oh, there was a takedown. There was a little takedown. Doesn't seem like that was a catfish. That could have been a little trout. I did catch one trout the other day, but it was actually on a spinnerbait while I was targeting redfish. So there are some around, but I don't think they're as thick as they were last year. Mid-August, they showed up out of the blue really, really early. They shouldn't be inside yet, not in any significant numbers. I'm actually targeting catfish. I feel like I've hit rock bottom. I feel like a parent using my kids' lunch money to buy heroin. This episode of Marshman Masson brought to you by Puglia Sporting Goods. Oh, what do we have? What do we have? Come on, big gafftop. Come on, big gafftop. You're definitely digging. I don't think you're a trout. There we go. Gafftop number one. Not a big one, but we'll get to taste him. It's funny when you're actually targeting gafftops, makes them more fun to catch. Come on, kitty, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, 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 kitty. Here, kitty, 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 kitty. And believe me, I don't think I'm gonna sit here and do this very long, but I'd like to get one or two more. Here in Louisiana, we have two types of catfish. Well, two types of saltwater catfish in our marshes. What are technically called gafftopsail catfish, like the one I just caught. We call them gafftops. And also hardhead catfish, which I did include once in a taste test. Oh, had a takedown. I did include them once in a taste test just to see, and they were horrible. They were not good. But gafftops have a reputation for being really, really good. Most people don't keep them. They're thought of as a trash fish, but they're supposedly quite palatable. We'll see. Meow. Meow. Come on, kitty cat, where you at? Quit hiding. Oh, there we go, right next to the boat. World class. He's digging. He's digging. All right, another one. Same size. Sweet. Of course, this is the absolute worst part of catching gafftops. They slime up your line. and you got to get it off. Otherwise it looks like rope. Nastiness. Look at that, isn't that pretty? All right, 2 gaff tops, and I feel like KVD after winning his 4th Bassmaster Classic. But 15 minutes on the catfish quest is plenty. I'm gonna head back into the marsh now and go see if I can find some redfish. Maybe I'll bump into a speckled trout, but I don't think so with the clarity of this water. But it's late August, and for me, that's definitely redfish time. All right, just as I expected, the water back here in the marsh is not very pretty. It's not pretty at all. I'm gonna say 6 inches or so of visibility. We've had a ton of rain over the last week, and that just dirties up these marshes. Still, it's fishable. It's not terrible. It's not to a point where I have zero confidence. I'm fishing one of my favorite dirty water baits, a black blue Texas rig matrix craw. There's a fish. He hit right when it hit the water. It might be a bass. Nah, I think it's a little red. Let's see. We'll see in a minute. Looking redfish like. Yeah, it's actually not a bad redfish. It's a keeper red. Nice. All right, there we go. That's our control fish. I know he'll be good fried. Got to measure him just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure he's about 17 inches. And he is exactly 17 inches. And he's still feisty. I don't know how well you were able to see that because I was facing directly into the sun, but he popped that matrix craw as soon as it hit the water. I felt the shock waves go up the line. I hadn't even engaged the reel yet. Nice. We've only been fishing this marsh maybe 5 minutes. We got our first keeper red of the day. Probably not the last. But it's nice to actually be throwing a real redfish and bass bait. Seems like the last time I was back in the marsh, I spent the whole day fishing gummy worms. Had a little competition with my son Joel. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link to it here. It was a lot of fun. Not only was it fun, it was surprisingly productive. Yep, I knew it. I knew something had me. So I warn you, if you fish these matrix craws, they're phenomenal baits, but they attract little fish as well, and they'll bite your claws off. So bring extra. And I like this color when visibility's about 6 inches or less. If it's really pretty water, I'll go with a watermelon. I think they call it avocado, something along those lines. Must be the intruder alert. Oh, there we go. There's a fish. There's a fish. I'm not sure he's gonna make the cut. We have to measure him though. Now that other fish I caught was right up on the bank. This one was out in the middle, probably in about 6 or 7 feet of water. I don't think he's gonna make it. I think he's too short. We will see. We will see. No, he's 15 1/4. We're gonna let him go. All right, big boy. So these are the days I like to really go explore because we do have this hard rising tide. So you can kind of explore confidently knowing you're probably not gonna get stuck anywhere. And a few things give me confidence with exploring, at least a couple of things. One is I picked up an H&H telescopic push pole. It's easy to store in the boat, doesn't get in the way, extends out to, I think 10 feet. It just kind of gives you peace of mind that you can get off of almost any flat. I'm sure there's some situations down in Venice where you can get to where you couldn't really push a boat. But anything around here, I know I can push out of with that. And the second thing that, of course, I talk about it all the time, is my Sea-Tow membership. Very, very cheap, peace of mind. I fish much more aggressively being a Sea-Tow member than I would if I were not a Sea-Tow member. Now, of course, they're a sponsor, but I've been a Sea-Tow member long before they were a sponsor. It just doesn't make sense to me not to be. Of course, back in the day, Sea-Tow didn't exist, so you were kind of on your own. You just kind of had to hope for the best, but you don't fish as aggressively. This episode of Marshman Mass On brought to you by H&H Lure Company, and by Bill Lewis, and by Matrix Shad, and by Fitzgerald Fishing, and by Sportsman's Outfitters. Oh, there we go. What are you? What are you? Oh, a little bass. There we go. He'll be nice to add to the fry. He's little, but these marsh bass don't get very big, and he will be delicious, I promise. He'll be tasty, at least as good as our gafftops. I tell you what, those marsh bass are tough to come by in the late summer when this water's really high like this. They just push back and kind of hang out in shallow areas where they can find a little bit of shade under some grass beds, something like that, and they don't feed a whole lot. Another couple weeks, water's gonna start cooling off, and then they go bananas. There's a fish. There's a fish. Oh, nice redfish. Come on, big boy. Come on, big boy. Look at you. You're not happy with this situation, are you? Oh, beautiful fish. Oh, is that pretty? Nice. Good, healthy redfish. About a 21, 22-inch fish. Big old fat fish. Look how fat that fish is. Wow. Really, really beautiful fish. Redfish got revenge. He bit me. All right, so check out the two funnel clouds. Not much of a storm that they're in, but it's definitely funnel clouds. All right, I gotta hurry up and get these catfish clean before anybody sees me. Well, it's definitely pretty meat. Look at that. That's a beautiful fillet. Nothing wrong with that. All right, so I got all the fish cleaned up, and now I'm back home in my kitchen, and we're gonna cook them. Now I decided not to marinate the fish at all. I'm just gonna soak it in a little bit of milk just for 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'm gonna use some Zatarain's seasoned fish fry. I'm gonna deep fat fry them in a pan in my kitchen. I've got a big kind of commercial fryer, double basket deal. You've seen it before, but I'm not cooking enough fillets to really pull that thing out and heat it all up. So I'm just gonna do it right here in my kitchen. All right, I'm doing the redfish first. That's kind of our control group. Joel is manning the cameras, so I'm gonna get him to taste them as well. We're both gonna kind of taste the redfish first and then taste the catfish and see what we think. We also got a couple little bass fillets. We'll taste those as well. All right, so the bad thing with doing it inside is I don't really have a thermometer, so I don't know when the grease hits 350 degrees. I just have to kind of guess. I can feel it's getting kind of warm. I'm gonna throw a piece in there and see how it looks. Okay, looks like it's probably ready. All right, take about maybe 3 to 5 minutes, and then batch number 1 will be done. All right, perfectly golden brown, just the way you like them. That's one of the bass fillets. That's one of the redfish. We'll let those cool a minute. We'll go with round 2. All right, our last 4 fillets, or these little gafftop fillets. All right, some beautiful pink meat, as you can tell. Now, what is a little concerning is this bloodline on the back, but all catfish has that. Freshwater catfish that you get in a restaurant has that. So it looks just like catfish fillet, so let's see. It doesn't look appetizing.
No, that's just nasty, dude.
All right, so Joel is saying this doesn't look appetizing at all. He thinks this is gonna be absolutely disgusting. I'm of the other persuasion. These are little gafftops. I think they're going to be very, very good. I think they're going to be delicious, but we'll know in a minute. All right, and the last batch includes the catfish. I think I can fit it all in one. We'll see. And catfish. All right, the last batch, which includes the catfish, looks to be about done. All right, so Joel and I are gonna sample these fish. We're gonna go with the redfish first. Redfish.
Oh.
Ooh, it's hot.
I gotta redo that.
All right, first off, piping hot redfish. You ready?
Okay. 10 out of 10.
Very good. And this was the bigger redfish because I cut it into strips. The smaller redfish I fried whole. That's good. Redfish always fries better than I expect it to. Alright, next up are these little bass fillets. These are going to be good. Actually, I like the redfish better. What do you think?
I agree. I think the redfish is better.
Not that this is bad. Alright, stop eating. You nervous?
I don't want to eat this.
Gets me better than you think. You ready?
No. No, it's piping.
It's too hot.
It's too hot.
No, it's fine. It's getting better. Alright, and last, and we definitely hope not least, Gafftop catfish. Tastes like catfish. It's really not bad. It's not bad at all. I don't think it's as good as a redfish, but at least on this tray, it's actually better than the bass. Definitely a distinctively different taste than the redfish or the bass, but the redfish and the bass had a distinctively different taste. Joel's still eating it. That's a good sign. Ooh, hot. Alright, well hopefully you enjoyed the video and got something out of it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe to the Marshman Masson channel on YouTube. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. And until next time, if we don't see you in the marsh, we'll see you right here on Marshman Masson.